What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Bets and Run Pure Sports, the only show hotter than Paul Pierce's Instagram. JSU, how are you doing today?
Yeah, good. I mean, I don't know if we can contend with Paul Pierce's Instagram, but we'll try. I mean, I don't know though if we're that entertaining, but we're gonna try. Paul Pierce is a goat. I love Paul Pierce, obviously from Boston. So he was growing up. He was
Yeah.
a stud to me, and I loved. He was one of the guys too I loved watching, and he wasn't like ultra athletic or anything like that, but his
Mhm.
game was just so good, so smooth. And that can tell you everything when the guy's not ultra athletic, but he's just so good in the NBA. Like the dude was a stud. So I'm a big fan of Paul Pierce and his Instagram.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Rachel Nichols likes this show a lot more than his, so we got that going for us. Let's go ahead and dive right in. I was telling you before we got on, I love this card, so I can't wait to see if we're going to line up on some of these plays. The first game, though, what I actually didn't make a play on this game, but I love it. It's going to be on my TV, whether or not I bet it on it tonight or not, because I think it's fascinating. Chicago Bulls are 20 and 28, 26 and 21 against the spread. They head down to Indiana to take on the Pacers, who to me are a disappointing 22 and 26, 19 and 29 against the spread. The Pacers, boy, for how much talent they have, they just really haven't been able to put it together this season. Obviously, struggling with health a lot. And this is going to be a big game for two teams that are kind of fighting for that low end playoff spot here. The Pacers are coming off that nice win against San Antonio. Well, Tyler and I didn't believe in them. We thought they were going to have problems without Sabonis, but they did just fine. Chicago's coming off a nice win over Brooklyn, but before that, they had struggled to implement their new addition, Nikolai Vukovic. So this should be a fascinating game. Right now, Indiana's catching 1 point at home. The total's 227. JSU, what do you think of this game?
Yeah, well, first there's some pretty big news, right? With Sabonis and Brogdon being still questionable, I believe, unless we got that news just recently. But
I see for
um,
Indiana, Sabonis, Lamb, and Brogdon all questionable.
yeah,
Tice, Temple are out for sure. And two guys, Dotson and Makoka, who don't really get a lot of minutes. And then Kobe White is probable.
because if they're in, I definitely lean the Indiana side still in that close of a game, that close of a
Mm-hmm.
spread. I just think Indiana is the better team with all their guys in, but we don't have that news. And if those guys were to be out, I mean, it's definitely I would definitely reverse and lean the Bulls, but you know, I think that one of these guys, maybe both, but I think one of them plays. So I'm leaning the Indiana side right now, but definitely want that news before I can fully jump. What do you think of the spread with that news? Like, do you think they play? Do you think you know they're really questionable? What do you think?
I think with the number that we see right now that they're expecting at least one of them to play and probably both of them. I
Yeah,
mean, even when they're in the lineup, they haven't been playing that well. So if you're just running the numbers of like the fully healthy team, this is about where it would come to
yeah.
with the Chicago team, right? I mean, they just neither of them have really been playing that well. I think the Pacers had a lot higher expectations. I mean, they both average 112 points per game. So they're equal on scoring. I don't have their net ratings in front of me right now, but if I remember right from just running the numbers yesterday, I redid my model yesterday, and they were really close in net rating as well. So this indicates to me that the books expect that one or two players will be healthy.
That's what I think too. So if both of them are healthy, I would definitely take Indiana here. Still working Vucevic in Chicago is, and we
Hmm.
talked about it. I think last week on one of the two shows we were on when we had Chicago on the card. I think we pretty much agreed like until they get Vucevic, until they all get comfortable with his game because it's just a different style, right?
Hmm.
They weren't used to kind of feeding the center with Wendell Carter being the guy there, you know what I mean? And when Thad Young played the center spot, so like it's different for them. And Vucevic is going to want the ball in different spots, and it takes a little while to gel, right? So,
Right.
and then they had all those guys out. Everyone was, guards were out and everything like that. So it looks like they're pretty much getting healthier now. Kobe White should be back. And it's not going to take that much longer, I don't think. And Vucevic had a nice little game last game, So I expect it to just kind of get better and better as the team progresses and they get used to him on the floor. But still, I think this number, I think it tells me that those guys have a really good chance to play. And if that's the case, I definitely like Indiana here.
Yeah, I do too. And one thing, I mean, I think that Billy Donovan's done a pretty good job, and I don't know if we can necessarily place this on him, but Chicago's also had, to me, like a bunch of memorable fourth quarter meltdowns where they just, they take it into the lead and they can't get it done towards the end. I think that's a little bit of coaching, a little bit of just relying on young players, Levine and Kobe White, to be their main creators. Now with Vukovic in there, maybe that will help them, get more solid looks towards the end of the game. Because
I remember one against the Nuggets. Do you remember the game
Yeah.
against the Nuggets before they made the trade where Jamal Murray hit that three in the corner, brought it to OT, and then they ended up like that game was in hand. Actually, if you watch that game for Chicago, Chicago had that game, in my opinion, anyways, and they lost it in the fourth quarter. Like, so it's happened multiple times. Like we could probably go back and find a more like recently where just like they lose it and they have terrible fourth quarters, but it definitely happens a lot. So that's again another reason why it's tough to back the Bulls here.
Hey JSU, are you able to hear me okay? I'm seeing in the chat that he can barely hear me.
I can hear Spread perfectly fine,
Okay.
but maybe
I'll
turn the mic up a little bit.
I didn't do anything different today, and it sounds normal in my earphone. So you guys in the chat, if you're having problems hearing me, we'll figure it out. But all right, so we both like the Pacers here, but we will be waiting on the news. And my guess is we probably, I doubt we'll even get the news during the Hardwood Live. I think that you'll have to be watching the final countdown. I missed it yesterday. I was out hiking, having some good time. But today I'll be making lineups, hanging out with you guys. So I'll be waiting for that news. And if it comes down the way that we like, I will be placing a bet on the Indiana Pacers because I don't expect the line to move too much. I think they're expecting them to play. I personally would just like confirmation, especially with such a big card and so many nice spots for us to attack. So let's speak of a spot that I do want to attack. The Los Angeles Lakers are heading down to Tampa to take on the Toronto Raptors. The Lakers are 31-19, but obviously not playing well without Davis and LeBron James. Still missing Drummond and Wesley Matthews tonight. The Raptors will be missing Van Fleet tonight. No Lowry tonight, so a little hurting in the backcourt. But hey, Malachi Flynn stepping in and playing pretty well. I personally like Toronto a lot here. I like the way to shut down this Lakers team without Davis and LeBron. Do it the Clippers did the other night, right? Just good perimeter defense, and the Lakers can't beat it. I trust the Raptors to do that with Siakam, Anunoby, even Gary Trent Jr. as a smaller guard. I just like the way that they're going to defend on the perimeter. I know it's a back-to-back, but I still do not trust the Lakers here. The only teams that they've really beat are Cleveland, Orlando, and Sacramento since missing the two stars. And they average 103 points on offense per game without them. You know who else averages 103 points? The Cleveland Cavaliers, the worst offense in the league. So basically, you're going against the worst offense in the league if you're fading this team. I'll take it against the Toronto Raptors team that I think is heading in the right direction. And let's see if Malachi Flynn can get it done for me. What do you think of this game, JSU?
Yeah, I agree with you. We've been talking about fading the Lakers for a while with all these guys out, and I think it just continues here. In this spot, even though Toronto is on a back-to-back and they're down a ton of guys, but they still have enough pieces to give the Lakers some fits in defensively, right? They still have, some length on the wing, and, Malachi Flynn stepped in, had a really good game yesterday, also played really good defense, was in those passing lanes. He was getting a ton of steals and tips and just kind of making things really hectic for those guards on the outside when they were trying to move around in the perimeter. So he's a really good guard. I think he played really well. I didn't know he was going to be that good in the NBA. He definitely impressed me in that game. But overall, though, I just think it's the Toronto Raptors over the Lakers, and I can't bet the Lakers without AD and or LeBron. Like it's not going to really happen here. So.
All right. Well, we're 2 for 2 on the same side. I love it.
We'll be on a different side for another game. Don't worry. We got plenty of games here as we scroll.
No, but that's fine because those are two of the ones that I kind of circle as ones that I wanted to bet. So I'm glad we're on the same side there. Maybe just the ones that we're leaning with no money on will be on the opposite side. Let's see.
Also, too, can I just give out one prop because I really like this prop?
That's what they're here for.
And yeah, so last time I was on the show, I think I went like 5 for 6 for prop bets that I gave out.
I loved it.
But the one bet that I gave out that was like my favorite prop was the one that lost. It was the Joe Ingles assist over. So I got to redeem myself here. And I'm just going to give this one out because it jumped out at me right when I pulled it up. But Gary Trent Jr., with all those guards out, his points prop right now is sitting at 17.5. I think that's wrong. I think that's very low. This dude started off the game terrible yesterday. Only got 31 minutes too. Didn't get his minute ceiling either because I think he wasn't playing well. And they had a good lineup out there that was playing really well. Now, he obviously hit the game-winning shot, but if you watch that game, he struggled for a lot of that game, especially in the beginning. He still scored 16 points in the end of that game, not hitting his minute ceiling and not having a good shooting game to start. And he still got 16 points. This dude has had 24 and 31 the 2 games before. Without Van Fleet, without Lowry, 17.5 to me is extremely low. I like a bounce-back game for Gary Trent Jr., I'm taking this number over 17.5. You can already book that. That's my best bet of the night. Over 17.5 points. I just gave it out.
All right. Well, Gregory Russo's going to love that. He's watching. He's here for that. Hopefully he'll stick around even though he's
We'll give some more bets, Greg. Don't worry. We'll give some more bets.
All right. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this one. I should have hit this one last night, but I'm glad I didn't because I think it's better to wait and talk to you about it. The Hawks are at home, 26 and 24. They're hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. To me, probably the most disappointing 22 and 27 team in the league. It's like, for their collection of talent, like I was looking at the standings yesterday, I'm like, how is Memphis ahead of New Orleans? To me, that's a complete indictment of Stan Van Gundy and credit to Taylor Jenkins because I think New Orleans has so much more talent. The only thing you can say is the roster's not really constructed that well. And then they added Isaiah Thomas, right? Did you see that?
Yeah, they did.
Why?
They did.
Why?
I have no idea why, but I'm kind of a Isaiah Thomas fan. As a short former basketball player, I am a big fan of all short NBA players that make it to the league and dominate, even if it's for a season. He dominated for that season, and so I'm forever an Isaiah Thomas fan as well.
Okay, well, maybe you'll be on the opposite side of me, but I'm thinking, they already have 2 young guards that aren't getting the minutes they need to develop, right? And I think Walker needs more minutes, and I think Kira Lewis needs more minutes.
The problem is Walker's going to be out for this game. He's probably not going to play, right?
Right.
We got that news. Yeah, so he's going to be out. He had a pretty bad ankle injury last game. And then Kira Lewis is doubtful. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
So these 2 guys, to me, I love these two young guards. I thought Kira Lewis was one of the best draft picks.
I don't see Walker on the list.
Is he not on the list? I'm looking at today's Tuesday, right? Yeah. Alexander Walker ankle will not play Tuesday against the Hawks.
Okay, yeah. Then I don't know. Basketball Monsters are letting me down here.
That update was yesterday. They declared him out yesterday. So he had a really bad ankle injury.
Basketball Monster didn't give that to me. So I'll send them
that's weird.
Email.
So either way though, I mean, without him and Lewis doubtful. I mean, they got Lonzo Ball, they got Isaiah Thomas, they got Eric Bledsoe. Like
such a weird backcourt.
I mean, listen, this is what's going to happen anyways. Eric Bledsoe is going to play 35 minutes probably in this game. Lonzo Ball is going to play 5 to 38 minutes. He cramped up with like a minute and a half or 2 minutes left in that last game. So really, he would have played like 38 or 39 minutes, but he cramped up against Houston, and they just took him right out. Like he clearly cramped. They brought him over to the side and were doing the stretches, pulling his leg forward and stuff like that. So he was just cramped, so he should be fine. But again, he would have played 39 probably minutes if he didn't cramp up. So that's what's going to happen. Isaiah Thomas isn't going to play more than 15, 20 minutes. Like They're just not going to – first game out, they're not going to run him out there that big. But it is funny that they did sign him. But they need him. They need a guard. Like, they're losing these guards left and right. So
yeah,
it's kind of
I
a
guess they
perfect time.
do. I wasn't thinking about the health situation, but I was just thinking it's all
The question is who is is Zion, Brandon Ingram, Steven Adams? These guys are all questionable. Josh Hart's already out. Like, if those guys don't play, then it's a different situation here. If no Steven Adams, no Ingram, no Zion.
So I was pretty much counting Lewis is out and the other 3 is in.
Okay, so you think they play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I wouldn't be shocked if Steven Adams, he's in the concussion protocol, I think.
But he has the best tag. He's probable.
Is he probable? Oh, is he?
Either that or my basketball monster is completely off today. I mean, it didn't even tell me that Walker's out.
I'm just wondering, like, if you're in New Orleans, if Steven Adams is even just a little, like, nicked up, like, why not just sit him and let Hernan Gomez and Hayes kind of split the center minutes?
Run.
Let both these guys run. Hernan Gomez is good, man. Dude had like a double-double in the fourth or whatever it was. Like, he was playing so well in the fourth, they couldn't take him out. Like, think about it, like, he outplayed Steven Adams and Hayes to the point where they like couldn't take this dude out and put Adams back in. He finished out the game, I'm pretty sure. So had 15 and 12. So I think if Adams is out, both those two guys are going to have a really good shot here to play big minutes. They already showed that they'll put Hayes at the 4 with Adams. So they'll probably play, even if Adams doesn't play, if Ingram and Zion are out, they'll probably put those two big guys maybe out there together a little bit.
I mean, I love the way Hayes has played the last 10 games. You're starting to see the flashes on why he was such a high pick. And if he can really get it together, I mean, this could be really an exciting front court there. A nice pairing with Zion, running them at the 4 and 5. So that'll be interesting.
So you think those guys play, though? Spread. That's your take?
Yeah.
You think that those guys all play?
Yeah.
Because if those guys all play, I like New Orleans here.
Really?
Plus 3.5. Yeah.
So I was thinking that they're playing, and I like Atlanta anyways.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they're out, I definitely like Atlanta minus 3.5. But if they're in, all 3 of them, oh, yeah, I definitely I'll take the dog here.
Interesting. Okay, so see, here we go. It only took us 3 games. I like Atlanta here, and my idea here, right, is no DeAndre Hunter hurts so much. But, John Collins, for as good as he was, him and Trey, they don't really work together. I was actually reading this morning. Together, they're per 100, they're minus 6.3 points as a net rating on the floor together, and then you take them off and they're both pretty good. So I know that the John Collins injuries made a lot of news. It's almost to me like Bagley, where it's he didn't really fit with the team. So even though he's putting up good numbers, I don't necessarily know if it's a loss. I think that, Trey gets more usage here, and that might be more the effective way to run the offense. Obviously, I love what Nate McMillan's doing here. And I think it's a great big versus small matchup. Now, I haven't placed a bet yet, and here would be my concern, and it'll give you an idea to kind of make your case here too. How does Atlanta stop Zion? I mean, even Capella, right? I mean, it's a tough matchup.
I'm going to tell you right now, Gallo's going to really struggle, and Solomon Hill or whoever else they put out there, if those guys are in, to stop both Ingram and Zion. Both those guys are going to give them headaches, if they're in. So, I mean, I agree with you. Zion's in a great spot if he does play. On DraftKings, he's 8,900, so he is priced up pretty high, but he's definitely in a good spot to crush. I don't know if I'd pay that price tag for him on DraftKings. And then we got a question about Capella. West Coast Gem said Capella price way up. Yeah, so I would like Capella only if Steven Adams is out. If Steven Adams is in, I don't like messing with Steven Adams too much. Even without John Collins, I still think it's a lot tougher because Steven Adams is going to battle you and he's going to make things difficult every time. He's not going to get against Golden State. He just got all the rebounds. He just literally there was no one to challenge him, right? Nobody. Steven Adams will challenge him. He will make it difficult.
Yeah, especially if you're a more traditional close to the basket center, right? I mean, there's certain centers that I might target, like a Boucher or
Totally
Like
different
Isaiah
style, though.
Stewart, someone who moves out.
Totally different style, though,
Yeah,
right? Like
but when you're
someone.
close to the rim, that's where,
Yeah.
especially because I don't think Capella's going to be able to take advantage of Adams' lack of quickness, which is the way to attack Steven Adams. So, all right, well, we're on different sides of this game, but I actually didn't place a bet on it. It was just one that I was looking at. So, are you actually going to bet the Pelicans here, or are you just leaning that way?
I mean, I'm leaning that way right now. I want to see Zion or Ingram in. I want to see one of those guys at least get ruled in first.
All right, so this is another game that we might not be betting until the final countdown show.
I'm not seeing any props either on any of these guys, so I think they might be
I
waiting.
couldn't bet your prop on the Raptors yet either because
oh really?
With Van Fleet out and stuff, they just didn't put them up yet. And
I
it's probably
saw it on DK Sportsbook up.
Yeah, I use bookmakers, so
Oh,
they
okay.
might be on Bet Online. Usually, I just use bookmaker because it seems to be the most neutral lines. You know, where Bovada
Gotcha.
will kind of square towards the dogs. Some of these, like the old 5 dimes betting sports, will square towards the favorites. So I use bookmaker. It seems to be just the lines that are going to be most compatible to what everyone is using there. So, all right. Well, let's jump into the next one. This is another play that I love. Can't wait to hear where you're on it. The Philadelphia 76ers. Travis is always teasing me about how much I love this team. They're heading down to your area, to Boston, to take on the Celtics. The 76ers are 34-16, 27-21 against the spread. The Celtics 25-25, 24-26 against the spread. This line was 1 last night. It's -2 right now. When I'm checking, let's see, hopefully they gave me everybody here. So what I'm seeing here, and maybe you can help me here if there's people I don't know. Embiid's in, Hill's out, Semi's in, Tyrese Maxey's probable, no Fournier and no Thompson. Is that about what you're seeing for this game?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as of right now. I'm just looking real quick. No Fournier. Yep, that's what I'm seeing.
All right. Well, I love Philadelphia here. To me, they match up so well with Boston. The one thing that Boston can't do is stop people in the middle, and they have Joel Embiid. Not to mention it's kind of a rivalry, so I don't really need to cap motivation tonight, right? I'm not really too worried about Philly coming in here and just laying an egg. I think they're going to be ready to go. And Ben Simmons to me is like the stoned Marcus Smart, right? He gives me all that defensive efficiency without the intensity. So I love the matchup for Philly. What do you think?
Yeah, Philly's the way I lean. I think defensively, they're really good with Embiid in there. I was shocked the first game Embiid comes back and he gets 29 minutes, like right off the bat. Like that tells me in this game, I mean, he's going to probably see over 30 minutes. So I don't think they're going to hold him back as much as, man, like coming off an injury, it's really interesting that some of these teams are kind of letting these guys go right off injury. I would thought you need some time to kind of ramp back in, but they just let Joel Embiid go 29 minutes. So I expect him to play at least that, if not more against Boston. Like you said, a little rivalry, right? He's not going to want to sit on the bench for too long if the game's close. And we got a close spread right now. Boston's struggled, with bigs. And Robert Williams is definitely a better center that we're not still used to seeing down low, in my opinion anyways. And he's going to get better. But still, it's Joel Embiid, right? Like, everyone struggles a little bit against Joel Embiid pretty much because he's just that good. And I think with this close of a spread, I just have to take Philly here. Better defensive team to me. I think better all-around team when all healthy.
And regarding the Embiid injury, from what I read, it really, as bad as it looked originally, it wasn't that bad, and that they were super cautious with him before bringing him back, which is why I don't think that they felt as worried to just throw him back in there to 29, because supposedly he could have gone like a week ago.
But God, that was such an odd injury too. Do you remember that where he dunked it and he leaned to the side? Like he didn't even have to lean or whatever he did. And he did, and then just turned he was turning his body. That's what it was. He dunked the ball and he was turning to I think yell or something at the person, I'm pretty sure. And he hyperextended his leg. Dude, just dunk the ball and run down the court. What are you doing? Hopefully he never does that again. Someone has to tell these guys, that was dumb. Why are you doing that? Why are you literally in the air dunking and turning your body towards someone's, literally he tried to like turn his body. I remember it, and I remember going like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, why are you doing that?
Well, unfortunately, asking Joel Embiid to not talk shit would be like asking James Harden to quit going to the strip club. So I don't think it's going to happen, right? I mean,
you can talk shit, just like
don't do it while you're in the air.
land. Yeah, land first and then talk shit. Like turn around like a normal person and talk shit.
Yeah, he's too excited. He's too excited.
Yeah,
That's back. All right, so we're on the same side of that game. How about Embiid as a spend up here?
I mean, I definitely think you can look to him as a spend up. Especially if the minutes, as I think, are going to go up and see in the 30 range. I think he's worth a look here for sure. Just kind of looking at some of the spend ups in DFS. You got Jokic against Detroit, which is kind of interesting to me. You've got Giannis against Golden State. He's probable. I absolutely think he could dominate Golden State, and if Golden State can keep it close, who's going to stop him like on the boards and stuff like that? Golden State's really struggled against bigs. And I know he's not like traditionally a center, but he just eats all those rebounds for that team. And I could just see, him having that like huge monster game where he's got like 20 and a monster rebounding game. So we have some good studs on this slate. Embiid, I don't know where he lands. Like if I had to rank Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid right now, I think it's still kind of a little up in the air to me because I do think Jokic, again, another spot where like, what's Detroit going to do against Jokic? Like, he should be able to smash this matchup.
All right, so yeah, interesting spend up options today. I'll be interested to hear the guys over on runpuresports.com. Hardwood live show. Let's see what they decide for their spend ups. And you, of course, can watch that on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel starting at 4:45 Eastern. So make sure you head on over to runpuresports.com or runpurebets.com. Promo code BETS25 off, and you too can join the movement. Let's go ahead and talk about the Memphis Grizzlies, 24-23, 28-18 against the spread. Heading down to Miami to take on the Heat, 26-24, 22-27 against the spread. Miami laying 5 against Memphis Grizzlies. So here's the deal. I run the numbers. They tell me to take the Grizzlies. I cannot figure this Grizzlies team out. Even looking at the standings, they're like way better than like my net rating or how I have them rated. So I guess like my numbers tell me to take Memphis. I didn't make a play on it. I want to know what you think, especially about the matchup, because we know that Memphis struggles with bigger teams. I don't necessarily consider Miami a bigger team, so maybe that bodes well for Memphis. What do you think?
Yeah, so Memphis is one of those teams I feel like all year they've just done the like up and down where they're good for a little spurt and then they're really bad for a little bit. And they just keep kind of doing that game, in my opinion, when I watch them. But I don't know, like I feel like this is a game where honestly I might just pass. Like in my opinion, I guess if I had to lean aside, I would probably lean the Heat. I like the Heat a ton as a team. I think the East, they might be the ones that I pick to come out when it's all.
Well, if you're going to do that, put the money in now because, I mean, obviously there's.
Everyone's picking the Nets. Like the Nets are obviously the team that I think this team like. Defensively, when it gets to the playoffs, I think that they're a perfect team where like they can lock in defensively. They have the defenders to do it. Who are you going to
put on KD, assuming he's healthy?
I mean, Jimmy Butler is literally he's not going to be able to guard him, but like he's going to take up the challenge or Bam, which I like in my opinion. If I'm the Heat, I put Bam on KD.
I think I would put Bam on him too,
and then Jimmy on probably James Harden and make. And then Kyrie's just he's gonna get Hero, Dragic, a mix, and he'll probably be the one that dominates. Honestly, if they play, because he's probably gonna get the easiest matchup. But I just think the Heat, the way that's constructed. Oh, and they have Oladipo too, which I didn't even talk about. He'll get someone, and for everything
would be good on Irving.
And for everything he did in Houston, he didn't want to be there. So throw that out. Like whatever you saw from Oladipo, and he did not want to be there. Like, so I think, when it comes down to it, this might be the team that actually challenges them. I don't like Milwaukee. Gregory Russo says we'll win the East. I don't like Milwaukee. I don't like a team where your best player can't make a shot to win the game. Like literally cannot. Giannis will not make a shot to win. Maybe a dunk, but when it gets down to the last few seconds, it's really tough to not have to take a jump shot to win a game if the game's close. Philly has a guy who can do it. His name's Joel Embiid, not Ben Simmons. Obviously the Nets have like literally three guys that can do it.
Maybe
and then
even 4. I don't mind Aldridge in the half court setting.
And then Miami has Jimmy, who we literally just saw in the bubble do it. So, I mean, to me, it's not a question. He is definitely someone who I'd give the ball to and say, go get me a shot to win the game. I would trust him. So those are the teams I trust. Boston, I can't trust. I tried to, but I just can't. I can't do it. And then who else is there in the East? Toronto.
Toronto might be in the lottery.
Yeah, like – there's just no one else. I think it's in the end, it's going to be Miami and it's going to be the Nets, and we'll see who wins. But obviously the Nets are the favorite for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, I think so too. Without health, like I said, even in that scenario, I still could see, KD getting nice, easy shots over Bam. Right.
I'll say though,
beat Butler. Right?
Give me someone in the East besides Bam who's like a better matchup. Maybe Giannis
on Durant,
because he's so long.
Giannis
but
and Simmons.
I think Bam is more physical of a defender than Simmons, which is what you want against KD personally. Simmons might be better like laterally side to side, for sure. But I think the way to beat KD is you just got to be physical with him and try and knock him off his spot. I think Bam and Giannis would be my preferred guys because I think they could do it. I still think Simmons would struggle knocking him off his spot. You know what I mean? Like posting up, because he's going to catch those post up mid-rangers and try and just shoot over them. And Simmons is long enough, but still KD is good enough to shoot over him, even with his solid defense on the perimeter. So that's what I feel. I think you need a bigger physical guy.
I mean, all this talk is just getting me so excited for the playoffs this year. I mean,
Greg,
great.
When the playoffs start, we can make a bet. Hopefully, Milwaukee and Miami play each other, so we can just bet that series. But we can make a bet for sure.
I think Milwaukee's idea is they want Miami to get knocked out by someone else.
That's what I think too.
I think that's a terrible matchup for Milwaukee. But there are other matchups that they roll better against.
They want Miami and the Nets to play each other and them to play, Philly or something like that.
I think they match up a lot better with Philly.
Lot better. That's what I mean. I think that's the dream scenario, right?
Yeah.
And we're discounting Philly. Like, I think Philly's good enough to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, Joel Embiid's good enough to do it for sure. Ben Simmons plays great defense. Yeah. Like, they're in there too. But I still don't think in the end Philly could beat
I think Philly's got to be the number 2 contender, like the number 2 favorite right now. You got to put the Nets at number 1, and if one of those guys isn't healthy, then Philly becomes the number 1 contender.
I'm putting Miami in and Philly third and Milwaukee fourth. That's the way I put it. But again, it's a little contrarian take.
No, I mean we saw it in the bubble last year. I think that the way you're going, you're expecting for your prediction to play out. We need Dragic to raise his level, because he hasn't seen the same bubble. We haven't seen the same hero, right? Kendrick Nunn didn't play that well in the bubble last year, so I'd say that
I think that's why they went out and got Oladipo, though, right?
That's exactly why.
Yeah, because those guards aren't playing good.
I don't really trust Oladipo personally. I'm not a big Oladipo guy.
I trust that he did not want to be there in Houston. I trust that, like, for sure. Like, he did not want to be there. If you watched him play, like, he was just jacking up shots left and right. He didn't give a crap. Like,
we might as well have given him a James Harden jersey. They kind of were similar, as they're just standing up in the corner, letting the other players isolate.
The best, honestly, would be if the Nets lost, like, in the semifinals to someone and they didn't even make it to the Eastern Conference. I just want to see the Nets lose. That's what I hope.
If Durant doesn't stay healthy, that's going to happen, because as cool as they are, they're not without Durant. I don't think that they have a chance to come out of the East. So.
I mean, if all three are healthy, though, it's going to be really tough to beat them in a series.
I don't even think they need Irving. I think they just need Durant and Harden. I think I think that's enough. All right.
Irving's a big shot maker. Spread. Don't discount him. He made some big shots in some of those big games with
Oh no, I
LeBron.
know.
So
Yeah,
he's a big
yeah,
shot maker.
yeah. No, I'm not saying that they're better without him. I'm just saying I don't think that they
Yeah.
need him.
No, I get you.
All right, well, let's jump into this next game. After all that fun talk, this is an absolutely terrible game. I'm all interested to see how you handicap it. The Detroit Pistons, who are 15-35, 26-21 against the spread, are heading down to Denver, who are 31-18, 24-25 against the spread, playing well since the addition of Aaron Gordon, and the number says so because minus 12.5 for Denver on a low total of 214. Detroit's coming off that 24-point win over Oklahoma City, where they absolutely smashed. And Denver's won 5 in a row, as they most recently beat Orlando. Before that, they beat the Clippers, the Sixers, Atlanta, and the Pelicans before their last loss, which was on March 24th to the Toronto Raptors. What do you think? Are you laying the big number here, or is this just complete stay away?
I mean, I think if I'm betting this game, you're definitely just going the Detroit side, taking that big number.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because Denver, for how good they are and for how good Aaron Gordon is, they still let teams hang around in some games, like they did with Orlando, right? Yeah. Just recently, right? Orlando was literally down like half their team.
They didn't cover
right, that's what I mean. They were down like half their team. So, like, I think that if you're betting this game, it's dog or pass for me. I'm not trusting Denver 12.5 spread to get that number done, because I literally just watched them 2 days ago or whatever it was, let Orlando hang around the game they had no business hanging around in.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. And Detroit, we've talked about it all year, right? They lose, but they don't lose by more than 10. So when they get double digits, they're very good against the spread. That being said, with all these great spots on the board, I don't necessarily feel like I need to get involved here. I guess if you force me, I'll join you on Detroit. Not my favorite look. Total's only 214. What do you make of that total? Seems a little low to me, but these low totals have been going under quite often this season. What do you think about that?
I do think it is low, and I think if I was to bet the total, I would bet the over on this total just because of how low it is. But I mean, you're more the over under guy. You got the totals, so what do you think? Is it over or under?
I mean,
if
these
you had to lean
totals, I always like the under. I think we have two teams that play a really slow pace here, and I thought that I was going to circle this as an under because I came out as 217, and I thought the books were going to put it higher. And
so
it actually came out to me as an over, but my brain says under, so I completely stay away.
Detroit is the Nuggets are second to last in pace, and Detroit is 24th, tied for 24th. So these are two of the slower teams.
Yeah, so that's why.
So maybe the under is the way to go. Maybe that is the play here.
But it was so fun. I thought they were going to put the number higher, just because even though the Nuggets have a really slow pace, their offensive efficiency is pretty high.
Well, yeah, because they've got so many good offensive players, and Michael
for
Porter
that slow
Jr.
pace to average 115 points per game is pretty good, right?
Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. points right now. I'm looking at DK Sportsbook, 18.5. He's went over that number and 5 of his last 6. So
yeah. And you know what? I didn't think he was going to be a good fit with Gordon, but since Gordon's been there, he's just been on fire.
I told you, because he can play, like, Gordon can play the 3, the 4, so it puts MPJ in a better spot. It's not Millsap where, like, he has to play the 3, right? So I think it just puts him in a better spot defensively. And then offensively, he looks really comfortable right now. He looks really good.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like you just got to see it, and I've enjoyed it. I personally like the Nuggets. I was really upset. I wanted them to beat the Lakers last year. I was really hoping they would be our finalists. So I love to see it.
This year, come on!
This could be the year they do it. I mean, I remember I was just so upset during the.
I know our guy, Mr. Big T, drove a long way to try and place a nice, healthy wager on the Denver Nuggets to. I don't know if it was to win the championship or to get there, but it was one of those.
Yeah. So I'd love to see it, and I thought they were going to make each other redundant, but they haven't. And to me, it's just great news. Like I will take it. I like Aaron Gordon. He's a Northern NorCal guy, so I'm glad to see him do well, and I'm glad this is a better fit than I expected. Let's talk about the Portland Trailblazers, who are 30-19, 25-23 against the spread, heading to LA to take on the Clippers, who are 33-18, 29-22 against the spread. Clippers laying 5.5 here. Are you surprised by that number? I thought it was a little high, but then also the Clippers do match up well with the Trailblazers. What do you think of this number? Did you think it was too high like me? I didn't bet it yet though. I didn't think it was an actionable
Yeah, well,
mistake.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't like the Trailblazers. I'm not a big fan of Portland. I don't like their team. They're terrible defensively. And the way the Clippers have been playing, their defense has kind of been playing a little better, and their team's been playing a little better. The question with the Clippers is always, do we randomly get PG or Kawhi out? Like, because that would really mess things up to me. But if they're both playing, I still kind of lean the Clippers here. I don't know. This is a tough game to bet, though, because I do think the number is higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's so high too. I'm wondering if they know something that we don't.
I think it's a terrible matchup, though, for Portland.
A smaller team going against big defensive wings? Yeah, I completely agree.
It's a terrible matchup against Portland.
And this is another game we don't have to cap motivation. Remember how they were going at each other in the bubble last year? And if Beverly's out there, I love that. I love that. It's going to be even.
Him and Dame will go back and forth if they're out there. I'm sure.
And Dame and PG have no love lost either between the way that
it was the free throw, right? Spread. The main video that was going nuts on like Twitter and everything. It was the free throw, right? Dame missed a free throw.
Right? Yeah.
And Pat was on the sidelines. I don't even know if he was playing.
No, he was out of the game. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, I think he dressed up in dress clothes. Like, I don't even know if he was.
No, he was out during that time. He was out.
Yeah, and he was just having the best old time. And I mean, this should be an interesting game. There's definitely motivation on both sides.
Yes, and I think there's good arguments on both sides, which is why I haven't made a play on it yet. Total's 229, one of the higher totals on the board. Are you going to be putting any of these guys in your lineup?
Just kind of looking at the prices right now. Stress One says PG is the softest player in the NBA. Honestly, I think you're right. Like, I think
I'm trying to think of who I can say.
He might be the softest player in the NBA. Like, out of everyone in the NBA, like, he might be it. So that's a good call.
Like, as far as injuries wise, or as far as being super sensitive about everything?
I mean, I don't know. Probably both. Well, KD is definitely the most sensitive. Yeah. If you want to talk about that, that's for sure. But
did you see when you get ruled out on that show yesterday?
That's so fake. I can't stand. So PG, like, when you get ruled out for dizziness, that's the actual. You got to make something up, man. Tell them your hip flexor, is starting to act up. Like, come on, man. Like, you can't get ruled out for dizziness. Like, as a look, that just looks so bad. Like, just make up something. Tell them your knee was acting up. Like, just give us that. Don't give us dizziness. Like, that's just terrible. I do think it's funny because I do think he sets up well for a matchup like this, PG.
Yeah.
And he's the cheaper of the two, and I can't pay for Kawhi. But honestly, I don't know if I'm going to end up going to either of these guys, even in such a good matchup against Portland. I still don't know. I kind of I think Steph is really interesting on this slate against Milwaukee, who gives up a ton of threes. I kind of think it sets up well for him, even though he's going to see Drew Holiday. So it's definitely a tough individual matchup. But Embiid's in a really good spot. Jokic, there's a lot of good studs. So it'll be interesting, but I don't know if these guys are going to fall in. I don't know if I'm going to have much from this game. I think the other 10 o'clock game is where I would have more plays from.
I think this is going to be a great day for DFS. I don't think it's going to be too hard to differentiate your lineups, right? Because these studs should be pretty evenly well distributed, right? There's no
problem is who are you taking in DFS? Like, I mean, the only guy now, Nurkic is out, so like Canner should resume that like starting role, obviously. So like he's 6K. That's kind of cheap. Like I think I'd look to him. Robert Covington is cheaper. I think it's more the cheap guys. It's not the studs that I would look at from this game. Dame is 9,400. CJ's 8K. Like maybe you could look at Dame. I think if I had to pay up for anyone and I had to pick between Dame, Kawhi, CJ, PG, probably be Dame, just because he can go off in any matchup. Like he's just that good. And with CJ back, a lot of people don't like to play him, but I don't mind it. Where his price is starting to kind of trend downwards, but it hasn't hit where it like may hit. Like maybe he gets to like 8,900 eventually if he has a couple down games in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think this game is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And like I said, I can't wait to watch some hardwood live and see who those guys decide to spend up for, because I think there's so many good options tonight. I don't think there's going to be like studs that are like 40 to 50% owned. Let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, who are 32-17, 21-27 against the spread, heading to the Bay Area to take on the Golden State Warriors, 23-27, 22-28 against the spread. Golden State catching 6.5 at home. They've lost 3 straight. They were all on the road. First game back on the road trip, a lot of times I treat it like a road game. The Bucks just squeezed by the Kings with no Giannis the other night. I don't really know what to make of that. First of all, I'm pissed because I'm on Dish Network and they canceled NBC Sports, so I haven't watched the Kings game for like 2 or 3 days. So I'm pretty pissed about that. Haven't been able to watch the A's, which is great because they're 0-5. But I gotta get DirecTV going, so I won't be able to watch this one tonight unless I stream it. But what do you think if I do watch a JSU? Who should I take? I'm leaning towards laying it with Milwaukee. I don't trust Golden State. I don't like them. I think that the only way I'm going to like Golden State this year is if they're in the play-in against the Lakers.
Yeah, I think I would lean, if Giannis is back, I think I would definitely lean Milwaukee here. It's going to be a tough matchup for Golden State, especially with all the length to deal with. And, they're just going to sag off Draymond, protect the rim, force those shooters to kind of, have tougher shots. Like I said, Steph's going to take a bunch of threes here, but Drew's going to make it as difficult as he possibly can. So all of that together, the spread right now, 6.5? I think I would just go Milwaukee here.
All right, and you only have one spend up, Steph or Giannis. Who do you go for?
I mean, it's probably Giannis. No one's going to play. I don't think people are going to play Steph here. That's like why, like in my head for tournaments, I feel like he is a good play. The problem is I also like the Bucks here to cover. And it's not the monster. Like, it's not like it's 12.5 or anything, right? So they could still keep it somewhat interesting. And in the end, the Bucks just kind of get finish them off in the end. But I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting style of games because, like, what Golden State wants to do offensively is Draymond at the top and he's facilitating. The problem is, when defenders know that, they just sag off of him a ton. And then what they'll do is they'll do a lot of dribble handoffs where he sets that screen, or he'll pass it off of one screen and Steph will come around and he'll get another screen from Draymond and then he'll kind of roll. The problem is that, like, Giannis is going to be the one sagging off. And Giannis, if they do that, he can go out and actually, like, challenge a Steph 3 and make it really difficult. So you're going to have Drew Holiday fighting through screens to try and get over. And he's obviously one of the best defenders in the league, if not the best on-ball defender in the league. And then you're going to have Giannis, who's going to make things difficult contesting shots. And, I mean, it's going to put Golden State in situations they're not going to be in. They're going to need guys like Kelly Oubre or Andrew Wiggins to hit some shots. That's for sure, because Steph's not going to get easy looks here.
I'll tell you what, I'm not convinced that this Golden State Warriors team even wants to make the playoffs. I think that they still, regardless of,
I couldn't believe where they were, like in the playoff race. I thought they were way worse
right now.
I
They're
know.
10.
I
Yeah.
was shocked they were even at 10.
Well, because I think they've lost a lot of games since I think they lost like their first four right coming out of the All-Star break, and they were like 500 going into it. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, since the All-Star, let's just go. Since the 20th, they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 1-8 in their last 9 games. So this is like a recent development with them falling down the standings. But just so here's what I'm reading being a local Golden State guy and listen. I know you hate local radio, but I still listen to it in the car, especially on the short trips, JSU. I don't want to pull up a podcast just to drive 5 minutes for 7-Eleven. Okay, I'm gonna
No,
listen to my
you
little
pull on a
KVR.
podcast, you drive 5 minutes down the road, you listen to it for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then when you go out again, you put it on for another 5 or 10 minutes, and you
Yeah.
finally finish the podcast. Maybe by the end of the day.
Well, okay, I'm still listening to KVR, but I get to hear all the Warriors fans and everybody's melting down over here. So Kerr is not popular in the Bay Area right now. I mean, they are going at his head. Nobody feels like Wiseman's being developed correctly, and this is coming back on Kerr. And then there's just a lot of ideas that, hey, this team really wants to be in the lottery. They'd rather get the draft pick because they're not going to get a championship anyways. This isn't the Chicago Bulls. This isn't the Sacramento Kings, right? That are making a push for the playoffs to finally be relevant again, right? So I mean, I just don't trust Golden State really to give me good effort all the time for the rest of the season. I would not be surprised if they just had little to no interest in finishing the season strong. So I don't know. I mean, what would you say about the way that Kerr's used Wiseman? A lot of them are saying that they're just basically not putting him in positions to succeed, like trying to basically play him like Bogut and Looney, right? And that he's not that type of player. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, and again, it's just so much in their offense runs through Draymond and the perimeter guys with Steph and stuff like that. That Wiseman is just, you know what I mean? Like nothing is he's not getting any like offensive possessions where they let him like go at someone.
Yeah.
He's getting like open mid-range jumpers that are created off of all of this action on the outside. And then Draymond will get that pass off the screen, take 2 dribbles into the paint, and obviously pass it again to a open shooter, which is sometimes that mid-range shot for James Wiseman. He'll run the floor, and maybe he'll get a few open transition buckets. But, like, again, that's not offense that's made to get him a bucket, right? He is getting that bucket. He's running in transition. Draymond he's like the second or third option when Draymond gives him that pass for that mid-range shot. They want to see, like, he should get some opportunities, especially in some easier matchups, to go at someone one-on-one. He has skill. His footwork's pretty decent, it looks like to me. I mean, I don't know why they aren't giving him a little more opportunity.
No, and I personally like Steve Kerr, and I think he's doing a great job, but I'd have to completely agree with the criticisms here. Why would you draft someone as talented as James Wiseman and then try and fit him in the Bogut Looney role, which is basically just set high screens and roll to the rim, maybe get an offensive rebound, right? There's not a lot involved in the offense at all. I mean, Bogut talked about how much different it was for him when he went there, being a former number 1 pick, right, to get there, and he's basically just, a glorified screen setter and boxer out, all he's doing is setting screens and boxing out. It's not the role, that you would want to put one of your most talented players in. Really surprised that when they made that draft pick that they didn't adjust the system for him, so I think that criticism of Kerr is valid. So it'd be interesting to see where this team goes forward. Regardless, we both like Milwaukee to blow out here. Total's 237.5. What do you think of the total, JSU?
I don't know.
I love my high overs.
I know. I knew you were going to say over. God, it's probably an over. You're probably right. It's probably an over. I don't think Golden State's going to have what they need to stop Milwaukee offensively.
Yeah,
I think that they're going to struggle.
Milwaukee plays high pace, even if Golden State's not that efficient on offense, they're still going to get there.
Yeah. That's the other thing too. So it's probably an over bet spread. It's probably your over bet that I know you're going to like.
I'm going to like that one.
All right,
I know you gave it out earlier, but you want to go ahead and repeat your best bet for everyone if people weren't watching earlier?
Yeah, it was Gary Trent over 17 and a half points. I just think that's wrong. Past two games before that, he had 24 and like 31 or something like that. The number's just too low. He had one bad scoring game, and that was yesterday, and he didn't get his minute ceiling. So he only played 31 minutes. He got like 36 before that. And then on top of that, he had a terrible first half shooting the ball. He still ended up with 16 points. So if he doesn't have the bad first half, and he could have easily went over that number, and he easily went over that the last two games before that. Fred VanVleet's out, Kyle Lowry's out. He's going to have all the opportunity to try and score. He's going to take, 15, probably maybe 20 shots in this game. Yeah, I'll take over 17 and a half.
Yeah, I love the play too. I think the only thing that can basically hurt you here is the Lakers' slow pace on offense, maybe limiting his opportunities or blowout potential. But as much as I do like Toronto here, I still think the Lakers can keep it close. Hey, JSU, it's a sunny day. It's beautiful. I'm in a great mood. Do you want to do something for Gregory Russo? He only thinks that real bets are sides and totals. Can you go ahead and give him a side and total as a bonus here?
All right, give me a real bet, he says.
Like the player prop money doesn't spend the same. Like I'll go to buy steak and they'll say, "You won this
Greg,
player
to me,
prop,
money
sir."
is money, brother. We if you can make money anyway in this industry, you just do it. You don't even look twice at it. But we'll give you a side here. I think if I had to take a team as my favorite, I'm going between Milwaukee right now and Philadelphia. I think I'm going to go with Philadelphia as my favorite bet. I think they're -2 right now, I'm seeing. So I'm going to take that as my best bet for Gregory Russo. Philadelphia -2 against Boston.
All right, and it was one of two for me, and you took it, so you left me with my favorite of the day. Why did this line move to +1? Toronto Raptors are +1 right now. JSU, do you have any news for me before I give this out?
Hold on.
I'm refreshing right now.
I don't see anything new. Rodney Hood's out, but that was 2 hours ago.
Jalen Harris was out before, right?
Yep.
Is it because Drummond's questionable now and Matthews is questionable? If that's the case, I'll fade that line movement for sure.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because when I capped it this morning, and like I told you, I was up real late last night doing it. I capped it with Drummond and Matthews both being out.
Okay. So maybe that's
the only thing that's changed since then and now. That's fine. I'll love it. I'll fade that movement all day. Drummond's he's a cool player, right? I mean, I don't think he hurts the team. I don't think he's worth that much, and they're going to give him that credence. I'm fine fading that all day. I know it's a back-to-back, but like I said, Lakers without Davis and LeBron average 103 points per game. That is equivalent to the worst offense in the league, the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? So you're giving me this Cleveland Cavaliers offense, and then against the strong Toronto defense, who I think matches up so well with the strong perimeter defenders that they have. I think this is just a terrible matchup for Los Angeles. Give me the Raptors here. That is my best bet. Guys, thank you for hanging out. In appreciation of the best bets we're giving out, could you please like the video and subscribe to the channel? Head on over to runpurebutts.com. Check out what we have to offer by becoming a member. Use the promo code BETS25 off. You'll have access to all the spreadsheet bets, all the Discord plays, the live with Keg show to get all the live bets to keep your bankroll growing. Then, of course, you combine it with the access to Run Pure Sports. You'll be able to watch JSU and Holden on the final countdown where we wait for this news, and we might be placing a Pacers bet, right? Might be placing a Pelicans bet. We're waiting for the news. We'll be watching the final countdown before we make those moves. JSU, do you got anything else before we get out of here?
No, that's it. I'm getting threats from Gregory Russo in the chat telling me I better be on point. No, that's the goal. I mean, I try to be on point every day.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I came in with the fresh dew. I just got it. So we're on point right now. Let's hopefully we can stay on track for Greg and everyone else who's tailing the bets, and we'll be back tomorrow. Win or lose, we'll be back tomorrow. So either way, you can give me shit if I lose, and if I win, you can
and
say
he
give me
will
more
too.
bets.
He will too.
That's all right.
Land is not afraid either to
I'm
let
cool.
us know when the picks weren't the best. JSU, we went 1 hour today. Tomorrow we will be back with Travis Mangone. Over under 75 minutes for tomorrow's show. What do you think?
Over.
All right, guys, we're gonna have
because
plenty of
I
content
need
for
more
you tomorrow.
time to make fun of Mangone and to give him crap when he hedges half of his bets.
Right.
So,
and you know what's funny is usually I put you guys on Tuesday because it's a lighter slate. For Mangone and JSU going on a Wednesday, I probably should have put that at about like 95 minutes because I think it's a huge slate tomorrow. I think it's a 10 or 11 game slate. So
yeah, and I got the playbook tomorrow, so I can't wait. We'll try and keep it under an hour and a half, but I need time. So
yeah, I'm gonna call my UPS buddies that watch the show on the lunch break and tell them they're gonna have to let their boss know they're taking an extra long break today because we are going to be pumping out the content. Guys, thanks for hanging out. One more time, best bets, Gary Trent Jr. over. We like the Sixers and we like the Raptors. We will see you guys tomorrow for an extra long marathon. Thank you for hanging out. Enjoy the final countdown this evening with JSU and Holden. And